Welcome to the Mormon Medium podcast, where we'll talk about spirituality, the paranormal, religion, and my journey in becoming a Mormon medium. I'm Nanette Ride. Thanks for listening. Now let's go have some fun.
Don't be afraid. Close your eyes. There's a moon overhead, but the sun will rise. Blood on our lips, such a poisonous bite. The sound of our hearts go bump, bump, bump in the night.
Welcome to the Mormon Medium podcast. You're with Brad and Nanette. Obviously, that's me. And today we're going to answer a whole bunch of questions that have been emailed in to us. And we're excited about this one today.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun because we have had some good interaction with listeners, which is awesome. And if you don't know how to reach out to us, well, let's tell you about that. Number one, you can always reach out on social media, right? Nan is on Facebook, she's on Instagram, and she's really responsive when people reach out to her through direct messages that way. And you can also always reach us by emailing info@themormonmediumpodcast.com.
And we are really good to get right back to you, or we will put your questions on the show because you're not the only one asking the questions, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing. It's like the old teacher adage, there's no such thing as a dumb question.
It's true.
Well,
it's true.
No, it's not really true. I've had some pretty dumb questions in the past when I've teach. I have some dumb questions. So that's not exactly true, because I can tell you that I've had some pretty dumb questions asked in the past when I've taught things.
Really? What
Yeah.
kind of questions did you get asked?
I don't know, just stupid shit. Like, well, like, where should I point my gun while we're building clearing? Well, not at your partner's back. That's usually a bad idea.
Seriously?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and look, I think part of it is the immaturity of life, right? We get kids who are just turning 21, coming out to be police officers. They have zero life experience.
But their intentions are
Their intentions are great,
Yeah.
but they don't have the life experience to go along with it. I was one of those dumbass kids, right? I started when I was 22.
But you're a badass cop.
It took me time to get there, but I think, especially when you come from a really religious background and you try and go and be a police officer and you think that everyone is inherently going to be kind and good and tell you the truth, and you're super judgmental if somebody drinks or if someone uses drugs, instead of treating them like a human and with kindness.
I could see that. If you're really religious, you would think that, wow.
Yeah. And look, I guess I'm super hypocritical because I remember there were times where I thought like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was afraid of things like that before, too.
Yeah.
By the way, the coffee is really good this morning.
That's because you ground it fresh.
I did not grind it. Shay did.
Oh, well, all right. He's going to be a barista.
He's a barista. Right?
I think it's just a generic term, isn't it?
I don't know.
God, now I don't know. Just don't make me order in venti, grande, all of that shit.
Just a large one, right?
Yeah, give me a large coffee. Give me a medium coffee.
But thank you for making the coffee. It's really good.
You're welcome. And you can buy the Mormon Medium a cup of coffee, too, if you want.
We have had several people reach out and buy me a cup of coffee. If you don't know what that is, I send you a reading in your email each month. So it's pretty cool. And I love coffee.
Yeah, when we talk about buying the Mormon Medium a cup of coffee, it's literally just supporting the show, right? Helping with some of the costs that are involved. There's different hosting services and such that we have to pay for. And so when somebody is willing to support and reach out and donate a little bit of money like that, it's really helpful.
It makes our job a lot more fun because we don't make any money at this, right? We're doing this because, face it, it's a hot day and it's fun.
It is a fun date. I feel a little bit like the Jerry Lewis telethon right now. Nan's hot on the phones right now, ready to take your call. or PBS.
Call for a reading.
Right? Call now for a reading.
Hey, we could do that.
Right? We could do that, actually. call now for a reading. You don't know our number, but...
I love it. Let's get to our questions.
What
Brad.
about Sally Struthers?
Enough.
No, that's a great one because of the dogs. Everyone wanted to donate to Sally Struthers. I remember seeing those
We have a
commercials.
dog. We have the cutest dog in the whole wide universe.
I know we do. So somebody should totally donate to this poor
Donate-
disabled dog.
She's handicapable.
She's only got 3 legs. She's looking at us like we are just incredibly stupid right now. So today we wanted to take a few minutes and answer some more listener questions. We've had a few of them sent to info@themormonmediumpodcast.com and some of them sent in direct messages on social media, Instagram, Facebook.
Yes, and we are really, really happy to answer questions. We do answer them directly, but we want to answer them out loud too to everyone because obviously everybody has lots of questions. And we want you to feel comfortable asking those to us. And also, if you have any suggestions or things that you'd like to hear, please let us know. We're happy to do that.
Absolutely. So let's just jump right in. I want to say that I don't have names attached to any of these questions. I wish we did. That would make it a little more personalized. Do you know any names on these? I'm just going to make them up then. Griselda writes in.
Don't say that. That's not even a real name.
Griselda's a totally real
You
name.
dork. Don't be a dork.
That's a great name.
Brad.
Griselda is a great name. So this first question is brought to you by Griselda. Griselda says, what's the difference between energy healing, mediumship, and psychic?
I can't even take you serious right now with that name.
Well,
It's like a Disney name.
It is. I'm pretty sure it is, actually. I'm going to look it up.
Oh, my goodness.
So would you like to answer that question while I look up Griselda?
Energy healing, mediumship, and psychic work are 3 different types of energy work, right? Everything's energy. And when you're working with spirit, you're working with energy. So energy healing, I actually talk to the body through kinesiology. So I muscle test you. I work with your muscles, help release them. So if you have pain or knots or things like that, we release those. We release the beaver dams that are causing issues in your energy flow or your life force throughout your chakras and your meridians in your body. And we help the body heal itself. I am not a doctor. I don't diagnose, and I don't claim to be anything like that. What I do is I clear the energy. I clear things out so that the body can heal itself because your body was made perfect. We're not meant to be in pain. We're not meant to be depressed. We're not meant to be sick. None of those things. If you have any of those things, it just tells you that you have some work that you need to do. So mediumship and psychic stuff are completely different. A lot of people are like, yeah, I went to a psychic medium. Well, not everyone can do both. Okay. Some people are just mediums. So a medium actually can interact with spirit from the other side. So what I do is I can see them and I can talk to them and hear them and feel them. So I use all of my senses and I can call them in.
So when you say call them in, is that like, we've all seen the movies of the seances and the lady gets possessed and starts screaming and yelling and throwing fireballs out of her hands and,
Isn't Hollywood awesome? I love shows like that. But no, it's not like that.
So what is that like for you?
Through meditation, I've learned to silence that freeway in my head so I don't have thoughts that fly all over the place. I just go to a silent place.
Okay.
So after I go to my silent place and I get still with myself, I ask myself, how do I feel emotionally, physically, and mentally, right? Because
Okay.
I need a baseline of where I'm at. So if my back is hurting that day, which it shouldn't because, you're not supposed to be in pain, right? I balance myself all the time. Anyways, I do a baseline for myself. And then when I'm ready, I open my office. So I open my space for spirit to come through and I ask them to come through. I ask my spirit guide, number 1, because he's kind of the usher for everyone. And I give specific instructions of how I want this to look, one person at a time, one question at a time. I want to know how they died or things like that, really specific things like that. But they'll come in and if I don't see them or they're standing too far away from me, I'll ask them to come closer to me. and come closer to my energy, blend with my energy. And when they do, it's game on. So it's really cool. Now, psychic work is completely different. Psychic work is a lot harder than
Okay.
mediumship. You wouldn't think so, right?
Well, I don't really understand the difference still. So what is psychic work? What does that entail? So if you were to define that.
So instead of me blending energy with a spirit, because spirit is energy, I'm blending energy with a living being. So I'm blending with someone that's living. So in the case of like missing people that I've helped with lately, I just blend with that person, picture of the person's name, and then I start to see things. And that's psychic work. Or sometimes, when I get the ping about somebody in our family, like something's wrong, that's psychic work.
Got it. So what about like if someone says, here's my great grandpa's pocket watch, can you hold it and tell me what you see?
That's psychometry, and that's psychic work, but it's also spiritual work because grandpa will be with the watch and you can start to see things. So I actually have done this before, held watches before in both of my hands and seen who it belonged to and what they look like and how they were related to my sitter. It was pretty cool. It was the very first time I'd ever done it. I didn't think I could do it, but I did it. So pretty cool stuff. So that's psychic and mediumship. So
you always remember your first time, I guess.
Yeah, tell me about your first time, Brad.
I think we'll pass because I have not done psychometry. But when I do, I will absolutely share that story with you.
I think we should have you do it because I bet you could do it.
I could probably do it. I don't know about psychometry, though.
No, I think you should try psychometry. I think you would be really good.
All right, maybe we'll experiment with that.
It's kind of fun. Like, I was super intimidated at first because my teacher was having me do it, and I had no idea who the watches belonged to. And yeah.
Hey, by the way, Griselda is a woman's name, and it means a woman of exemplary meekness and patience. So Griselda is a great name for our first question.
Name. Okay. That is the answer to our first question.
Thank you, Nan. I appreciate that. So thank you, Griselda, for submitting that question. The next question comes from our listener, Massimo. And Massimo says, why are you laughing?
Because you were so on one. What is in your coffee?
I don't know. You made it for me. Is there Irish cream in this? Massimo says, do you do readings via video? And how do healings work long distance?
Yes, I do readings remotely and I do healings remotely. So the only difference between the two is you get a hug from me in person. That's it. Basically, it's the same. Remember, everything's energy, right? So if I'm doing a healing remotely, we'll get on a call. You don't have to be on a Zoom call if you want to watch me do weird things. You can. If you don't want to and you just want to lay silently and listen to me and answer questions and be interactive with me, you can do that. It's kind of your choice how you want to do that. But I surrogate you. And it actually changes me all the way down to my blood level. And we have tests that prove it. It's super, super powerful. So I basically become you. My body feels like you. I get your aches and your pains, everything. I go through the balance. I test your muscles on me and everything. And then after the balance, then I release your energy back to you. I reclaim my energy and we're good. And then you get all the benefits from it.
So if I'm just like, hey, I'm traveling down the road, can you do this for me? It sounds pretty easy, right?
I could totally do that. I like you to be in a really quiet place and be able to be really present with me. But there have been times where I've had to do that, like when I hit that kid that tried to commit suicide.
Do you know what's interesting that you would bring that up? Is the next question is actually about suicide. Oh. So let's hold on to that, and we'll talk about when Nan decided to try and run someone over.
I did not decide anything.
That's actually a little bit of a ghost story
terrifying. Too. Yeah.
So let's finish this question and then we'll move into that.
Okay.
And that actually goes along with my angel song this morning because I figured out which one it was.
Awesome. I can't wait to hear. Well, the last part of that question is, do I do readings via video too? And I do those all the time as well. We just get on a FaceTime or something like that, and I do readings. So I'll call your loved ones in and give you messages of love and hope. and also answer some questions. I'll also do a tarot reading for you and read your aura. So I can see, what your chakras are doing, what you need to work on, what you're doing really great at, how I can help you strengthen those chakras. I can also see where you have stresses, sickness, and a lot of times I've seen where cancer has been or where it's at. So it's been really interesting to learn that because I didn't know that I could do that either until like 3 months ago. So pretty fun stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy amazing. Distance healings are actually awesome. And if you're interested in getting a distance reading from the Mormon Medium, there's a link in the show notes. You can just go ahead and sign up for one on her calendar.
Yes, it's super easy. And I am booked out a little bit. So the sooner you do it, the sooner you'll get in.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so let's talk about our next question. So look, Nan, I told you that I woke up with a song in my head and I couldn't figure it out other than it was a riff from Ozzy.
True.
It's just been playing back and forth and back and forth. It's from his song Suicide Solution.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is super random and weird. Anyway, Jeremiah writes in and says, does my loved one go to hell for committing suicide? Will I ever see them again?
There isn't a hell. Hell is what we put ourselves through. And let's face it, we're harder on ourselves than anyone ever could be. And God or our source or our Heavenly Father or whatever you call him, he's the source of creation, right? He's the source of all light. And he's not necessarily even a he. But it's about nothing but love. And we're here to learn. And if someone commits suicide, they get to learn on the other side and then they get to have a retry or a redo. But it's all about their choice. It's about their agency. It's about love and it's about learning. So no, they don't go to hell. And yes, you will see them again. I've had several clients that have had loved ones that have committed suicide. Those loved ones have come through and they're okay. They're happy, they're at peace, they understand what happened, and they also understand the thought processes that got them to where they were, and they're sorry for it. But it's not a shameful, horrible, hellish thing that religion teaches us.
So it's not a fire and brimstone and people being tortured by the devil like in South Park.
Absolutely no. No.
That's pretty good because that's an awful image.
But you know what? Even living people today, we're super hard on ourselves, right? We beat ourselves up all the time. So it's like, you're going to live in your own, mental hell anyway. Even on the other side, you take that with you. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
Wow. Suicide is such a tough topic to talk about, but it's one that is so relevant to the world. There are so many people who just feel so hopeless, like everyone would be better off without them. And that's just not the case. Everyone is here and is so important. The ripples in the pond just go and go for every single person, and they interact with every single person. And people are important. If you feel hopeless, remember you're important. Reach out. Don't feel alone. Don't feel alone. You're
not
loved.
alone. And there's lots of people that have been where you're at. If you are suffering with idle thoughts or you're super depressed and stuff, please reach out. You're not alone. There's other people that have been there and have come through the other side. And I promise there's light on the other side. We just need to shake that stuff off, right?
Yep, absolutely. And if you do need help, there is a suicide and crisis lifeline. You can call or text the number 988.
Yes, definitely do it.
So we teased a little bit, Nan, about a little bit of a ghost story where you decided to run over a kid. Tell us about
I
that.
did not decide to run over a kid. I'm going to smack you. Okay, so I was at some of my energy balancing classes, and they were super intensive, like 6 days a week, 9-10 hours a day. I was driving home from Cottonwood Heights. So it's like an hour and a half drive from my house out in Benjamin to Cottonwood Heights. And I'm driving home super late at night. It's super dark. And I'm on a road that doesn't have any lights. And it's late. It's like 10 o'clock at night, right?
And we've already established in other shows that Nan doesn't necessarily obey the speed limit at all times.
Yeah, that's true. I do now. I'm better now that I've gotten older and wiser, but
You are better now. You fit in a lot better in the St. George community now.
I do. Anyways, while I was driving at about 50 miles an hour, and down on the right, there's like I call it a borrow pit, but it's like it drops down maybe a foot or two and then rolls out into a pasture. Lots of pastures out there, lots of farmland. But at night, at 10 o'clock, there is some kid over by the fence line. So I glance this kid that is down in the borrow pit, and I'm like thinking, I wonder what he's doing. He must be peeing down there or something, but didn't see any other cars. And I saw him from a distance. So my lights had kind of flashed on him, and that's all I thought. That's it. Then all of a sudden, I heard a voice that told me to slam on my brakes and veer to the right now. And it like screamed it in my ear. And I did. I'm a good minder, and I did. And little did I know, but that kid had decided to come in the middle of the road and stand in front of my car. And had I hit him straight on, I would have killed him. I was going 50 miles an hour. But what happened is when I slammed on my brakes and did what Spirit told me to do, he rolled up the side of my brand new car. And he was still alive. He just rolled up the side, and all he got was a little tiny bruise on his calf. But, you know, when you get that dark, my heart was just that anyone would feel that hopeless, and especially someone that young, because he tried to do that to the car behind me as well. But I remember driving about a quarter of a mile just hysterical because I thought I had killed him, and I didn't know what to do. Like it was like my brain and my gas pedal weren't like, you know, talking to each other. I finally pulled over and I called Brad first, hysterical, and told him I hit someone, and just
I was
out.
thinking she just like lost her temper and like beat someone up. She's like, I hit a kid. I'm like, okay, what did he do? Did he deserve it?
Yeah, he asked me a couple of very calm questions, and then he told me to hang up the phone and call dispatch. And I did. And then I called my energy worker teacher, and I told her what happened and asked her to balance me so I could calm down because I was freaking out. Yeah. And it worked. Like the energy balance, it calmed me right down right away. I could feel it happen right away. And then you came to me, and the police came, and the kid was okay, and he was pink slipped, and yeah, everything turned out good. And he ended up coming and living with me for a while.
He did. Good kid. He definitely had some demons that he was slaying that night.
And he slayed them.
He did.
He did really good.
So I guess in conclusion to that, is my loved one going to hell? No, they're not going to hell. It's their own personal hell is what it sounds like. And
yes,
it's something that they get to have a redo on. We're both strong believers in reincarnation. I think you come back time and time again until you get it right. I mean, we all have that divine nature, and I think if we are going to be creators, we have to learn a lot of things, right?
100%.
Too many things to learn in one short lifetime.
There's no way you could learn it all. Like Brad, you, in this lifetime of being a man, you could never learn what it's like to give birth or to have a period.
Thank God.
But you lived other lives where you got to, or else how could you be a creator? How could you create a woman if you don't know what it's like to be a woman? Or how could I create a man if I don't know what it's like to be a man? Do you know what I mean? How you've got to experience all things, and you come back thousands of times. Thousands. It's the name of the game. But it's all about your choice too. You don't have to come back. But if your soul hasn't learned everything it needs to, you tend to choose to come back.
Why do you think the whole fire and brimstone concept of hell came about? Just and this is just like bullshitting.
Just for fun.
Yeah. I don't.
I think it's a control tactic. I think it takes control off of the person and it makes you blame Satan for things that you do wrong. And it's also a threat that you have to live a certain way, be a certain type of person, or else, you know, and it's not like that. It's not like that at all.
So basically teaching through fear rather than love.
Absolutely. And how much more would we learn if it was more about love and it was more empowering and we grabbed all of our spiritual gifts and we used them, and that was the norm? Do you know how different this world would be? It would be amazing.
It would, but I think having the fear base is easy, right? You do this or else, and here's your checklist of things that you have to do.
But fear is the absence of love.
Oh, interesting.
So if you're approaching something with a fear base, you don't have love in mind, right? And it takes a minute to get to, but because, fear is something that's kind of inbred in us. It's something that we're taught even in movies.
Well, it's a survival instinct though. Like,
but it's a good one. It's part of your fight or flight.
yeah, when
It keeps you
saber-toothed tiger jumps down off the ledge,
Right.
you get afraid and you fight, flight, or freeze.
Exactly. So it's a good thing, but it's all it is an emotion, just like any other emotion. We have good emotions and bad ones. There isn't one that's better than another. They all serve their purpose, just like light and dark. It all serves a purpose. There's nothing bad about the dark. There's nothing awesome about the light. You have to have both in order to have one or the other. Do you know what I mean? Like, you need to have balance. And when you're in fear, you got to look at yourself and be like, I have an absence of love right now. I'm coming from a place of fear, and recognize the fear, pull it out of the way, and then re-examine what you're doing and see if you would treat someone differently.
Interesting. I like that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So Lisa asks, does this work zap your energy? And I get asked this a lot right after a balance, even because a balance lasts about an hour, and it does not. I love what I do. I love working with spirit. I love working with energy. I love working with people and helping people become empowered to snag a hold of their life and be able to be in control and to understand things. And no, it does not zap my energy. Between clients, I recenter myself. I sage the area so there's no residual energy from a previous client, and I'm clear. I work clean and clear. So no, I am really good after a full day of work.
What zaps our energy is driving to Utah County from here.
It's depressing up there. Yeah. There's no sunshine.
It's
Ain't
great.
no sunshine.
All right. Thank you, Lisa, for that question. Lacey Lou asks, how do I learn about my own gifts? Where do I begin? And how can I be as awesome as Brad?
Let's face it, you're more awesome than Brad.
Wow. Thanks for that vote of support, Nan. So how do people learn about their own gifts? Where do they even start?
Well, they can start by learning to meditate and calm their mind. And, the internet's a great place to start seeing what your gifts are, what's out there, and seeing if you're more aware. When you become more aware that you even could have a gift, maybe examine your life, examine the things that you do. Like LTG, or even like you, we found out that LTG has 3 gifts, right? That he's actively using all the time. He can see, he can feel, and he can hear spirits. And you do all of them.
Yeah, he just doesn't want to admit it.
No, he admitted it. He just doesn't want to sharpen them. And he's pretty muscly. He could sharpen them and be pretty great at it, but he doesn't want to, and that's okay. But you, Bradley J., you have all of them, and you use them all the time. So I think you would be surprised how many of your gifts, your clairs, that you use every day. It's just part of who we are as humans, right?
Yeah, for sure. So what you're saying is the first step is really meditating and learning to go to that quiet place in your mind.
Yes.
What if your mind does not quiet? What if it's just screaming and messed up?
Oh, you mean like the Grinch in yoga class?
Like our
In meditation class?
like our meditation class we did, yes.
Yeah. You want to tell all about that, Brad? You had a party in your head that night.
Look, sometimes meditating is hard, especially in a group, right? There's a lot of things going on, and it's easy to wander and have your mind go in different places.
No,
I thought it was.
I know.
So here's my thing, is there was a video several years ago that came out, and it was the Grinch in a meditation class, in like a yoga class. So the instructor tells the class to, just breathe out all the clutter in your mind or whatever. And the Grinch just lets out this scream, And the class stops, and she looks at him and goes, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "I'm a little messed up." That's all I could think about during this stupid class. And so the instructor is trying to get us to all sit still and meditate.
Well, no,
and
everyone is sitting still and meditating, and Brad is in the corner, and all I hear are these giggles over and over. I'm like, Brad, shh, and he keeps doing it, and he's trying to hold it in like a little boy, and he just can't. It's like giggling, and it's just busting out, and then finally, the teacher's like, Brad, what is going on? And he loses it and just starts laughing so loud, and everybody stops their meditation and is just looking at him. And then he tells everybody.
Do you know what? The instructor was gracious enough, though, that she said, "All right, you've got to share with the class because I don't know what you're laughing at, but it sounds amazing." And so
It's true.
I derailed the entire class and made everyone watch the Grinch video.
Yep. And then our meditation was over.
Yeah. Sorry about that. To everyone who paid for a meditation class.
I told you he was 12.
It was a lot more fun, though. It was way more fun than just sitting there in the silence of my own thoughts.
I don't know. That's pretty empowering if you do it.
So meditate, people. Sit down, be still, find that quietness. And what do you do if your mind starts wandering? Because most people, they sit down to try and meditate and they've got a million things going on, right? Well, I've got to walk the dog. I've got to pick the kids up from soccer. I've got to go to work. I've got to pay the bills. I've got to work on my nutrition. I've got to go to the gym. I've got to, there are a million things that are on their lists of things in their head. So as those things start popping in, what do you do? How do you combat that?
Dude, after all that, you make me need a nap. Oh. No, you bring your thoughts back to the breath. So once you find that you're wandering and you're someplace else, catch yourself and just come back to your breath and listen to your breath, listen to your heartbeat, and it'll bring you back to center. I used to do that all the time. This takes practice, but I promise with practice, you get to the point where it doesn't wander anymore. And what is wonderful about that is when you're in everyday life and things start to happen, you come from a place of silence inside, and then you can be reactive from the inside out instead of reactive by things that happen to you from the outside in. So I can think about how I'm going to react about something, and if it's the best way to react at the time, or if I need a little time out, So meditation is you taking control of your own power and being able to be in charge of your thoughts and your reactions and the way you act. And that helps make you a super strong manifester, and you can start creating after that.
Thank you for that clarification.
You are so welcome.
All right, let's hit the next question. Hepzibah says, "What does it sound like to hear a spirit's voice?"
It's interesting because it's not like hearing your voice. If you can close your eyes and say,
Wait a minute, I've got something. This is clairaudience, right?
yes, good job.
Bam.
Bam.
See that?
So
I
in
do
our-
listen to you.
Yeah, awesome. You're learning.
Most men don't listen. I listen.
I'm so happy that you do. That's why I love you so much.
Thank you.
So if you, in our episode about the clairs, we talk about this, but if you say in your mind, just close your eyes and picture really green apple or a sour green apple and say it in your mind, that is what the voice sounds like from spirit, is that silent, sour green apple in your mind.
So a still small voice.
It is a still small voice. When sometimes though, those voices, it'll come fast. They'll say stuff fast. Like my bullshit meter, I have a spirit that's on my team, and when somebody is totally full of crap and lying to me, she will actually say, and it comes on my left side, she'll say bullshit. And I'll be like, oh my. And I know that they're full of crap. So it's because I'm a super nice person, and I've been really super trusting my whole life. I kind of don't have a bullshit meter, so my spirit has to be one. So I have one on my team. Pretty funny, but it comes fast, really, really fast. The information, and also the spirit will send messages that you hear with feeling too. So kind of when I say I love you to you, I send it with
Emotion.
feeling and
Right.
emotion from my heart. So you get the two at the same time
Okay.
with clairaudience.
Got it. So it is when you hear a spirit's voice, it's not like hearing the television.
No, not at all. It's like a whisper, a really low whisper, and you have to really. That's why meditation is so
some
important.
some people do hear them in the physical realm, right? We've
Yes.
talked about people who hear giggles. We've talked about
And we have, and I have. That's subjective and objective clairaudience, right? So you can do both, but it takes a lot of energy for a spirit to actually be audible so that a human ear can hear
what
it.
about an EVP? How does that fall, do you think? That would be fun to explore a little bit.
I think that the EVPs just work with energy, right? So it picks up the energy because when we heard our EVP,
Mike.
yeah, our ears didn't hear it, but the recording picked it up. So I think when you're messing with energy, it's just different. It's totally different. I think it's amazing. I think it's totally amazing, but it is. It's a really quiet whisper, and you really, if you are not in tune on that really tight frequency, like, if you're on 99 and the spirit's on 100, you're not going to hear it. You have to be on 100, and you have to be listening purposefully for any kind of messages that are coming through. And it takes practice. Takes lots of practice, but it's kind of like when you're zoning and when you're driving, you kind of get to that place where, you're watching the road, but you're not watching the road. You're kind of, your brain is somewhere else. That is that silent place where nothing's happening.
Got it.
Where you can hear things. So when you're meditating, you want to be able to get to that silent place where nothing's happening.
Got it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So back to the meditation. If you want to hear shit, you have to shut up.
Yes. Get out of your own way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
That makes sense. Awesome. Well, thank you, Nan.
You're welcome. Thank you, Brad.
And thank you for all of you who are listening, and especially those of you who have taken the time to reach out with your questions. We really appreciate that, and we appreciate your support. So, Nan, do you have any words of advice that you want to leave for this episode?
Much like all the other times that I talk, just be kind to one another. Be kind to yourself. Know that we're all doing our very best. And if you see someone struggling, reach out and let them know that you care about them. And remember that fear is the absence of love. So you can diffuse fear with love.
Awesome. Thank you, Nan. I love that one. Diffuse fear with love.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. We'll see you next time on the other side of the veil.